Okay, welcome to Simple Shapes 4 exercise. This is going to be a little more challenging. Our first shape that we have over here is called an equilateral triangle. Each side is the exact same length and all of the angles match, and they're all a little, so they all match. So the first thing that I can notice is that this line is of the right, or the length of this line, and it goes from minus 1 to minus 3, and it's at 1/2. So let's just go ahead and draw that. We know that that's a given, right? So I go here, here, and that gives me my smart lines, and now I go to here, and that's the base. Now there are a lot of different ways that you can solve this problem. What I'm going to show you is I'll just draw a construction line. This is just a reference line that I drew from the middle of my baseline. Now I know that each one of these lines are all 2 inches. So if I were to draw a line that went up from 1.5, right, up to 2.5, that line is 2 inches long. Now I'm going to rotate that line. I select the bottom point, the intersection there, and the end point of that line. And now I'm going to rotate it until it intersects with that line that I drew as a reference line. And look, it pulled right over to it. I'm going to go back to my line tool. I'll draw the other side. I know that it is also at 2.5 inches. I'm going to rotate. I select the intersection at the bottom, the top of the line, and I pull it over until it meets. Now, I no longer need this line, so I'm just going to hit delete, and it's gone. Right? So let's look at our next one. Right? So let's look at this rectangle a little bit. Right? And you're going to want to draw the rectangle, and this rectangle, it looks like it's 1 inch, and I would have to measure it. You'll probably need a piece of paper to be able to measure this. It looks like it's 2 inches tall by 1 inch wide. So let's go over and let's draw a rectangle that's 2 inches tall and 1 inch wide. And it looks like its center is at 2, right? So 2 is going to be its center point, and we're going to draw a rectangle that is 2 by 2 or 2 by 1. Let's go here and let's go here, and 3, and it wants to be, it's going to be longer than that. So I've put it looks to be in the wrong place. I need this center point to be at 2. So let's go ahead and click here and hover over the center, and I'm going to move it to that point and that point, and now it's in the correct place. Now we want to rotate this. I'm going to rotate. I select the center of the object. I select the top of the object, and now you can see that I get an angle indication, and there is at 30 degrees. And I click, and that looks to be about right. Let's take a look at another one. So here I have a rectangle that goes from minus 1.5 to minus 3, and minus 1.5 to minus 3.5. Let's zoom in just a little bit over here, and I'll select my rectangle tool, and do you know, maybe we don't want to use the rectangle tool. Let's use our line tool for this, because we want this to be all to look like one solid shape. So our bottom line goes from minus 1.5 at minus 3.5, minus 1.5 to minus 3.5, there and there, right? And we're going to come over to minus 3. Good. There. And we go up to minus 1.5 on each side to here. another line that goes up to here. And now I may need another reference line. I'm going to connect this box. I'm just going to go ahead and use a line that I can delete later, right, to complete this shape. And now I want to use my arc tool. And the arc tool is right next to oval, and I click on that. And I have many different options for the arc tool, but for this example, let's use the radius mode with a beginning and end point. So I will select radius mode, and now I'm going to select where I want the center of my arc, and we'll click the end point of my arc, and then I'll sweep across to the beginning, and you'll see that it's made an arc, right? And now I should be able to select just that line that's under there. It's not going to let me do that. I'm going to do a sweeping select to select the line that's underneath of there, and now I can delete it, and I have this shape that looks a little bit like a basketball court, right? Let's take a look at our last one over here. This is where we are just rounding off one corner. So let's do our same thing. So we go from at 1, we go from -1/2 to -3.5. Let's go ahead and draw that line. At 1 and -1/2, there's this point, and I'll zoom out, and we're going to come down to -3.5, right? And then from here we'll do the baseline from 1, from this corner, and where do we go? We go to 2.5, right, to here. And now we're trying to figure out where this arc exists. Why don't we go ahead and think about using our arc tool now, and we'll draw this corner, right? And we can do this a lot of different ways, but here's, a graphical way to do it. We can see that this arc is at +2 and -1. So let's do an arc, and let's use +2, -1, and let's put the center of our arc there. And let's put our endpoint in line with the top of our line, and then we're going to sweep across 90 degrees, and now we just need to use lines, and we'll connect our arc and connect our arc, and that's shapes 4.